Hello, Mr. Coker, Paul Cundiff here. We have run your engine, changed the oil, changed the spark plugs, oil filter. We need to mark on the oil filter the date. I know you like to do that. I remember that in some discussion. And then we have verified that the tachometer works on your boat. This is supposedly a resistor. I've never seen a resistor like this, but anyway, this was supposed to go from the hot wire to the signal, and then also, let's see, to the signal, and then of course there would be like the hot, like for example, let's say this was the hot. I don't know which one was which, but let's just say that the yellow was the hot. Then the orange went to the hot on the gauge, and the black then perhaps went to the signal on the gauge. Anyway, the idea was that anything less than 8 volts won't trigger the tachometer, and so they were loading it to this resistor. They were wanting to load the signal with 5 volts, and then when this distributor would send voltage, it would be in addition to the voltage that was already on the baseline to the tachometer, and make it above 8 volts. But this was wired wrong. It was wired to ground instead of the hot, for one thing. So we did. This engine did run this tachometer just fine without anything that looked like this. And so then we took your tack out and ran it on the engine, and it ran just fine. So without this, so this when we tested this, we should be coming up with ohms, and in all combinations of the wires, we can't come up with any ohms. So evidently this is burnt out, or it was just not wired right, or really can't. This was the problem. We know that. And then also your tachometer was mounted kind of funky. It was actually mounted behind the dash, and we fixed all that, made clamps to clamp it in the way the rest of the gauges are clamped in, and put that gauge on in the dash properly. So anyway, all that's done and ready to go, waiting on the boat to get turned over so that we can reinstall the engine. So getting back over to the progress on the boat, we have all of this. Well, he's finished up the last piece of the first layer of plywood, and he's got a template up here, cardboard template up here. I'm not going to make it through here, I don't believe. Oh yeah, there it is. So you can see the cardboard template that he's working on right over here, and that's the last. That's the template for the last piece of plywood of the first layer, and about half of the boat has the plywood made for the second layer. Let me back this thing out again. Of course, the keel's all done, and we'll have a cap over the stem when we do the stem. We have a repair made, just the rough repair right now, made to that side, and we have over on this side, we have a new piece of genuine mahogany back here. And we've got that faired in, and we're going to attempt to, we're going to stain this, and we have in the past made our we would sand to a certain point, and it was almost like a line this way, and we came up with the idea this time of, let's don't do it that way. Let's let our line be kind of the shape of a natural wood grain. So we think we can stain all of this and stain this and get this to blend right here. Oh, actually, we're not going to try to blend this. We've got so many spots on this particular row of planks. I might try to blend it back there. And then, but when we get up here, we've got sanding that we've got to do between these planks, and we've got some filling that we're going to have to do. We call it splining, but we had trouble keeping the since it was all glued together, we had trouble keeping the sides from breaking off of this plank right here. So we'll do a spline on that. That will all disappear. When I say that will all disappear, the gap that we've got here will all disappear. It'll all look like one continuous piece of wood. We have to bung this, which means we'll be bringing this all down to bare wood, all the way to the front of the boat. I think I might have already described that to you already, but I know I forgot about going in my description. I didn't have us going all the way to the front of the boat, but we'll be going all the way. This particular strake will be just taking it all the way, rather than fare this in, blend here, blend back there, blend again. By the time we do all those blendings, it'll be easier just to take it down to bare wood, restain it, and reseal it and revarnish it. So anyway, that's on the stem you can see we've made our connection here, and then what we'll be doing is, after we've got all the planks on, we'll be putting a cap over the top of this that will bend over the top of that, and then tie in with the keel up there, which you probably see that the keel is a little higher than the stem, and all that blends together then. So we think we'll have all the plywood on. I was hoping to have planks on too, but we're not going to have that. But we'll have all the plywood on by Friday afternoon, and then of course there would be a complete layer of 5200 between the two layers of plywood, and we'll let that cure for the entire weekend, and then start applying planks early next week. So yeah, I guess it's probably, I had hoped to be done by the 8th. We're probably looking at later that week, because we got to get the planks on, then we got to get this guy turned over, and the engine installed. We also did find, we repacked your packing gland for your prop shaft, and then we found the strut bearing. The strut bearing is the strut is the structural member. Well, I can just show you on this boat even easier. So down here underneath, right in front of the prop, that's the strut, and inside that strut is a bearing. It's a rubber bearing that goes around your prop shaft, and it's lubricated with water. So I don't know if this is, oh yeah, here's your strut, right here. So we took out, and your old strut bearing was worn out. So we took out your old strut bearing and installed a new strut bearing. So and that's important for proper, accurate, for a couple reasons. Number one, it'll create a vibration when you're at high speeds, because your prop shaft won't turn concentrically in the bearing, the worn out bearing. It will turn kind of around the outer, the perimeter of the inside diameter of this thing. So that is so not only is that a bad thing, but it's also a bad thing that when we're drilling the hole in the new keel when we're drilling a new hole in the keel for the prop shaft to go through, we need to make sure that it's in exactly the same spot as it was before. And if there's any play, in this bearing up and down, we actually put a prop shaft or a shaft through this hole with a drill bit on the front end of it. And if there's any, if the angle's wrong, if the angle's off any, then it makes it difficult to align your engine when we put your engine back right where it was. So, and we don't want to have that problem. So anyway, that's the update on your boat for today, and we'll talk to you soon.